Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to show you 5 dribbling exercises that you can use to specifically develop your balance with the ball, the ability to speed up and slow down, as well as your overall close control dribbling. Just before we get into the drills, I want to say a huge thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Squarespace is where I built my website, 7mlctraining.com, and from websites to analytics to marketing tools, they're the all-in-one place to grow your online presence and manage your business. Now let's get to work. The first drill is going to develop the foundation of our dribbling, the ability to keep the ball tight to your foot and dribble with close control, as well as the ability to cover as much distance in as little time as possible with the ball. So a combination of controlled and speed dribbling. So to set this drill up, I've placed down 2 sets of cones, 25 yards apart. You can set this up smaller or larger depending on the available space you have to you. But what we're going to be doing is starting at the first gate here and dribbling up to the second gate. The key here is to take as many touches as we possibly can. It's completely free dribbling, so you can maximize the space. We not only want to go forwards, but side to side, throwing body feints, getting as many touches with all the different surface areas of both feet as we can. And we're trying to keep the ball super glued to our foot. Then once we reach the opposite side, we're going to turn on the ball and then dribble as quickly as we can back to the starting point. So there should be a difference between the 2 styles of dribbling. On the way up, it's close control, as many touches as we possibly can, covering as much ground. And then on the way back, we're trying to get from A to B as quickly as possible. So it's going to be less touches, but covering more ground. So here's an example of 1 repetition. So we're going to dribble with close control, keeping the ball tight to our foot, using all the different surface areas of both feet, low center of gravity. So I've got a slight bend in the knees, so I can manipulate the ball tight to my foot. And then once I get to the top, I turn and it's accelerating. So as you can see, less touches, but getting back to the starting point as quickly as I can in a straight line. So work on the 2 styles of dribbling. I'd recommend going through this for 5 repetitions. Then between each, rest for 30 seconds to a minute so you can get your breath back and attack each one with full intensity. The second drill is designed to develop our balance with the ball. So to do that, I've placed down 8 cones in a circle. You can place down more cones, less cones, make the circle bigger or smaller. But what we're going to do is take the classic cone weave and add a different dimension to it. So typically with the cone weave, you'll go in and out of cones in a straight line, manipulating the ball from side to side. Now we've added a curved pattern to it, because not only is it important to master those linear movements, it's also really important to develop your balance when changing direction, because sometimes changing direction isn't going this way and then immediately going the other. Sometimes it's a more gradual turn. You'll see players in the midfield, it's a more gradual turn. And to do that, you have to master your balance, leaning to one side, keeping strong on your planted leg so that you can remain center in your balance to keep control of the ball. So all we're going to do from this exercise is start on any cone around the outside. We'll start with our dominant foot. For me, that's my right foot. And we're going to weave in and out of the cones, trying to get as many touches as we possibly can, avoiding the cones and going around the circle. So lots of little touches, low center of gravity. Start to get your head up so you can see the next cone. But as you can see, not only am I moving linearly, I've got a slight curve in my dribble. Still getting loads of touches, but making sure I keep my balance in the right direction. So as I'm changing direction with the ball, I'm shifting my body weight to counter for that balance. If I lose balance, I'm going to lose control of the ball. And once you've mastered a few in one direction, go in the opposite direction with the same foot. So as you can see, similar touches, as many as we can, shifting my body weight, keeping control of the ball, getting all the way back to the starting point. And once you've mastered it with one foot, you can do the exact same thing with your non-dominant foot. I recommend going around the circle 4 or 5 times, resting for 30 seconds to a minute, and repeat 5 sets. For the third drill, we're going to continue to master our balance with the ball, but this time we're going to introduce an element of speed. So as you can see, I've added an extra circle, identical to the one I set up for drill 2, but now we're going to travel around the outside. We're not weaving in between the cones. We're trying to dribble in a curved pattern, but this time with pace. So we're going to dribble around the outside of one circle, come through the middle between the 2, and then use the opposite side of the foot to go around the other circle. A couple of key points for this exercise. First is having a low center of gravity, so a slight bend in the knees, on your toes, and chest slightly over the ball, and then lots of touches around the outside, leaning towards the inside of the circle. If you try and remain upright, you'll naturally lean in the opposite direction and be off balance. So make sure you're deliberate, leaning that inside shoulder towards the middle of the circle. And it's going to help you with your balance. So here's an example. Lots of small touches, low center of gravity. Then we're going to exchange to the inside of the same foot, get around the opposite circle, then back to the outside of our foot. And then you can repeat this. You could go 3 times around each circle and then rest for 30 to 60 seconds and then repeat 5 times. You can also get some repetitions on your non-dominant foot, but as we mentioned before, when you're traveling at speed, it's important to be as quick as possible with your dominant foot because you're naturally going to have more control and precision with your dribbling. For the 4th exercise, we're going to combine all of the elements we've worked on so far. So we're going to speed up with the ball, slow down, change direction, as well as master our balance. So to set up this exercise, I've placed down a starting gate. Cones are 1 step apart. We've got another cone 4 steps out diagonally from the starting gate. Another 4 steps diagonally from that cone. We've got 2 placed 1 step apart. And then we've got another cone 4 steps diagonally from those. And then we've got an end cone 4 steps diagonally. So we're going to dribble out with speed, get around this first cone, speed up again with the ball. Then it's a tight control through those 2 cones. We're going to keep it on our dominant foot only, accelerate out diagonally, around that end cone, and then we're going to repeat all the way back to the starting point, and that's 1 repetition. So we're combining all the major elements of dribbling in 1 activity. So this is what it looks like. Low center of gravity, accelerate out, tight control, accelerate, manipulate around the cone, all the way down, back up, tight touches through the gaps, accelerate, back to the starting point, and that's 1 repetition. Then rest for 30 seconds because you want to attack each repetition with max intensity, and then repeat this one 5 times. And for the 5th and final drill, we're going to combine some dynamic ball mastery with some hesitations and body feints, as well as some change of direction to improve our confidence and deceptiveness with the ball at our feet in tight spaces. So to set up this drill, I've placed down a square, 2 steps apart for each of the cones all the way around. Then at each side of the square, 2 steps away, I've placed another cone on all 4 sides of the square. So you can start at any of the outside cones. And we're going to use the inside of our foot to nudge the ball into the middle of the square. And then we're going to perform a toe drag and then escape to the next side of the square. So for the toe drag, you're just dragging that back foot along the ground. This is a great way to deceive defenders and get them off balance, and then you can escape the next angle. And then we're going to get around the cone on the outside of the square relative to the side of the square that you exited. And then you get around that back to the middle and then escape the next side of the square until you've completed all 4 sides. And then you can rest for 30 seconds to a minute and repeat this one 5 times. So here's an example of 1 full repetition. So we nudge, toe drag, escape, dynamic ball mastery, nudge, toe drag, escape, dynamic ball mastery, nudge, toe drag, escape, back to the middle, and all the way back to the starting point. Making sure we keep that ball underneath us in full control when exiting and also going around the cones. So there we have it, 5 exercises that you can use to develop your balance with the ball, the ability to slow down and speed up, as well as your overall close control dribbling. And just before I go, I want to say another huge thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Squarespace is where I built my very own website, www.7mlctraining.com, which has become the central hub of my entire brand, and has allowed me to put everything 7MLC training related in one place, from my blog posts to my podcasts, as well as my very own 7-day training programs. If you enjoyed today's exercises and you want a full comprehensive dribbling program to take your close control dribbling to the next level, I'd recommend checking out Magnetico. I'll leave a link in the description box down below. But if you ever considered building a website and you don't know where to start, check out Squarespace. And if you use the link in my description, www.squarespace.com/7mlc, you can get 10% off your first website. But if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you smash the like button, hit that subscribe button for weekly training videos, and I'll see you guys in my next video.